Killing two birds with one stone. I didn't even know we were killing any birds, and I'm glad, but I'm glad. Today is about thanking God and, life. It's life. Homeschooling. Let's talk about homeschooling. When your child has done the British curriculum and they've done the Cambridge exams to get into university, you then need to apply to USAF for them to transfer the Cambridge certificate into a South African metric exemption. We did foreign conditional exemption because we didn't do a second language. Why didn't we do a second language? Because all the childhood language stories were full of fairy tales and nonsense, and that we didn't want to have our children learning nonsense. So we just got rid of it. We're not going to teach our children a language using fairy tales and talking mice. We just wanted a Christian curriculum, and Christ never spoke about talking mice. I mean, yes, he made a donkey talk, but he really made the donkey talk. So, and the devil made a snake talk. But otherwise, God's stories were always based on reality. So that's why we personally chose foreign conditional exemption. Other people also choose it for different reasons. Their children might not be good at speaking another language. Dyslexics are not very good at learning even their own language. So it can be strenuous for them to then also learn a second language. So, people have many reasons why they don't give a second language. And if you've got the option, you can take it. So then we applied for foreign conditional exemption, but it's the same process as you would if you were just applying for a metric exemption. You go onto the USAF website. You have all your certificates notarized by a notary public or by the High Commissioner in British High Commissioner, South African High Commissioner in which country you might be in. And I told you this before in the other video, so I won't go into it. So we have all that notarized. Same thing with the ID copy. Your child's ID copy must also be notarized. Have that ready. And have the statement of results, which you don't have, then you only had in the certificate. Have the statement of results ready, because when you fill in the online form, it asks for because the certificate just says English A, but the statement of results gives you the percentage, and the form for USAF wants the percentages as well. So have your statements of results close by, unless you remember all the subjects off by heart, and then you fill in the form, or your child does if you trust them, and you will then pay 750 Rand to USAF. You fill in all the forms, the GCE that they studied, and the levels they studied, the marks they got, contact details, and you send it through. And then they tell you that you will have to courier or go in and put in hand by hand the actual certificates once they get in touch with you. It can take up to 8 weeks. That's the warning they give you. So that, my friends, is how you convert your foreign Cambridge certification into a South African exemption. We did get into university without having the actual exemption. I'm sure they know that it takes a while. So it's not like they've only begun yesterday with Cambridge students. So we are going on full steam ahead. The marks are perfect for what my daughter needs anyway for nursing. So we're going on. She's going to university. And it's been hard. It's been hard. I left you with my doctor's admin asking, so what do you want? What do you want? So I told them, okay, I want you to send me to a pain specialist. Because as you guys know, when I went to a pain specialist, they just told me I've got osteoarthritis, so I don't trust pain specialists. I need someone who they trust, the rheumatologist. So give me a pain specialist because this is not working. And secondly, I want the IV. I want the high dose prednisone, cortisone via IV. It drip. That's what we call it in South Africa. Drip. The drip IV infusion. So I went for that yesterday. It was meant to be at the day hospital, but they had no space, no beds. So I did it in the doctor's rooms. And then on Monday, I'm going to go again. That's not the norm. She usually sends people only once, but this is me. And I will appreciate it because it is bad. It's not good yet. The cortisone hasn't made a difference. So we will see, guys. And it was nice. She's got a nice nurse. She has got a lovely nurse. I asked her if she doesn't think she's got ADHD, and she was not insulted at all. And she said she probably actually does. She does think she does. She had mentioned that she couldn't read my email. I mean, that's a big thing. I can't read your email. I forget what I've read when I go further down, and then it just becomes a blur. So, but she managed to pass her schooling. She found ways to cope. And she said, yeah, she thinks she does have ADHD, but in her day, when she was a child, nobody assessed. And so they just had to deal with problems. And then the severe ones couldn't finish school. They were blamed as being naughty. You don't want to learn, blah, blah, blah. Her daughter is a doctor. Her daughter diagnosed herself with ADHD. Oh, my word. I've got ADHD, and she has medicated herself. Her son, I mentioned that one of my children is high functioning and has high anxiety. Extreme, but doesn't want to get onto medication, even though the psychiatrist said they need to. And she said that's exactly what her son is like as well. It's just she's told him, come on, you've got to realize your sister and I have issues. You might very well have issues, and I'm pretty sure you've got ADHD and you need to be medicated. And he seems to also have autism traits. But like we all know, you can't push your children. They need to feel the need. Same with an adult. You can't push your adult. They need to see the need, and then they need to have the money to go and get assessed. So it was interesting. It was interesting seeing her and hearing her coping mechanism, because she was verbalizing everything quite loudly to herself, and she was so apologetic. And I told her, I don't mind. I really don't. And so I told her a bit about my life and what I studied, and she said, okay, now you get it then. I'm totally fine then with you. So she was running through everything, naming the medication for herself, the dosage for herself, the order, okay, and then in the machine I must press this and pump this, and this is going to make a noise, but it's not really a bad noise. She was coping. And then she's like, oh, I must take off my bracelet. Oh, let me go and put it back. I forgot to put it away. She just took it off and then held it in her hand, and she was about to mix things, and she was all over, but she was pleasant. And wow, she can be a nurse up to now. She's probably late 50s. ADHD, if you don't have any learning disorders, is not a train smash. You find careers that work for you. You find fields that work for you. Because like in nursing, you don't have to be at the hospital at night. You can nurse in different spheres. So that was nice. And then let's talk about the children first, and then I'll end with my prayer. This week has been difficult. No, it's the norm. I keep saying, I knew when my twins were born, well, I felt that they will surpass my son Micaiah intellectually. And my 5-year-old who speaks definitely does. And sometimes it's just sad. So the word cow, we're reading with him. I read to him, he sees words on the screen. So my girl put sad cow, and then she swapped it around and said cow, sad. She put it with magnets on the fridge. And she said, Mommy, cow. First she'd written cat. She's also put on the board our names, Rio, Mom, Nelo, Dad. She's done that. And yeah, she did sad cow. This says cow. She said this says cow. I have not actually taught her any spelling words whatsoever. My son comes along, 9 years old, and he says, what does this say? Co. And my heart just fractured. I hate being reminded of how damaged his brain is. I hate that, guys. It hurts so much, because with brain damage comes limitations, things he won't be able to do as an adult. things we will have to keep doing for him when he's an adult and we are old and decrepit. A life we'll have to share with him. The way we'll have to feed him when we are pensioners. It's scary. We are scared, really scared, because we already have our non-speaker. And I'm going to come to her now. And then yesterday I was reading to them. And when I'm reading a story to them every evening, I explain. After every second sentence, I explain. I ask them, what did this mean? What happened here? I need to make sure they understand the story as we go. I believe they are understanding it. And then yesterday it was about Russia, the Soviet Union back then, and how the Christians were persecuted. It's a book of different stories. And this one in particular, the girl, oldest of the children, had been given a folder by one of their church members from another district, and she knew she had to hide it. They didn't open it because the more you know, the more you can be tortured. And they learned then that he was arrested. And so they were next. The people came, the police, 8 policemen came, and she was like, what am I going to do? Where do I put this folder? And then her mother told the police, just wait, my daughters are getting dressed because they came in the morning, so the children were all still in their pajamas. So the police waited and said, okay, fine, children, hurry up and get dressed. And the older girl was thinking, what do I do? She's probably only like 10. And then she thought, let me throw it out the window. She prayed and said, God, please tell me what to do. And a voice said, throw it out the window. And she was saying, but it's out in public. It's out there. If they open, it's in bushes. It was not like it would hide in some storm, river water or something. It would just flop onto bushes, thick bushes, and be so visible. But she did. She removed some brick, threw it out the window, closed everything as well as she could. And then they were all dressed. Well, one of the younger girls had delayed getting dressed on purpose. So it was just a story about how they constantly lived in fear because of their faith and had to work together. And they never asked the brother, where are you going? Because they knew if they know where he's going, then if they tell the police when he's tortured out of them, he'll be in more trouble. So that's how they lived. And it was such a deep story for me as an adult. So yeah, we discussed that, and we discussed how when the police left, the parents were shocked that the police hadn't found it when they searched in the girl's room. And they looked out and it was still there. The police hadn't spotted it. And they went and got the folder. And my son asks, 9 years old, and he says, who was hiding in the bushes? The police or the folder? My heart just sunk. I already baby the Bible stories as much as I can without making it like really baby stage. But I don't think even that is really going into my son's head. I don't actually know what is in my son's head, and that hurts. I don't know what, I know the words he hears are not the words that register in his brain. Because I'll say things like, can you guess? And he'll think I said stress. And he'll say, no, I'm not stressed. I guess you have to live it every single day to feel the depth of the pain, knowing your child is really, really damaged and there's nothing you can do about it. My other damaged child, Rio, who hurts me with her elbows, when she's happy, she's happy. She's very high. She's really got a hyperfixation on her iPad, especially one little drawing color in app. So you draw things and then you color it in with your finger. She is obsessed. She loves that. Okay, and now I mean obsessed isn't the way any person would discuss obsessed. The way you'd say she's so obsessed with Chanel bags. In that sense, she's obsessed with this iPad app. So she will come in all the time, not only at iPad time. iPad. And then when I'm out the room, she stays and she insists that it must be in my room, on my bed, in my spot where I am lying, trying to work for them, doing stories, etc. So I have to get out the bed. And when I'm tired and it's the evening, it hurts. So I have to get out the bed. The other rooms are dustier, and as the pulmonologist reminded me today, I need to avoid dust, which means I can't go to the children's rooms because they've got soft toys, and I need to avoid soft toys because they're a terrible harbor. They harbor lots of dust mites. So I'm stuck. I can't sit on a sofa because it's cloth, and cloth sofa means dust. So I have nowhere to lie down then that's safe for me because it's all dusty. There's a huge carpet in the lounge. So when she comes and she lies on top of me with her elbows digging into my painful ribs, I have to get off the bed. When she comes, she wants me off the bed anyway. Or I can't work because the music on the iPad is loud. But she has done this weird thing. I don't know why she's doing it. It's so weird. But it's like a little game now. I want to come into my room and I want to see, okay, what did she do this time? Before, she'd go in the shelf and drop things, like a whole bunch of the counting sticks that I shared with you last time. Or she'll drop a whole lot of markers. She'll open a desk and drop all the markers and leave them on the floor. She'll bring her toys and then forget them in my room. So it was always cute. She's been in my room, that kind of feeling. She was looking for me. She was feeling my presence because I know she loves to be with me. Just like my son said when I was doing the ironing, I want to be near you. I like being near you, so I'm going to stay right here. And she might not be able to say it, but she feels the same. That's why she wants to do her iPad in my room. So she has been doing this thing all of a sudden, where she just opens my shelf, my drawer, and dumps it on the floor. I don't know why. She's like a little baby. You know when they throw their bottles down and they think it's funny? Yeah, that's what she's been doing. So I've been taking photos and of the carnage. Well, I started a bit late, but hey, some days she doesn't actually dump them. She just leaves them open. And then today she left all three open. It was the first time ever. Usually it's just the top one. It's these little moments that you just laugh about autism. There's a lot that's bad. There's a lot that's sad. The inability to focus or concentrate enough to learn, no matter what method you are trying on your child, is heartbreaking. There is no, let's use AAC, because she doesn't want to look at it and say play and learn that the sign means play. She doesn't want to. She ain't interested. Yeah. So, those are the sad things, the children who are not well, and the things that are barriers, but they're the positives. My daughter was teaching herself to read, my 5-year-old. And that brings me to my last update. I did the cortisone, as you know, for my AS. The rheumatologist admin said, what do you want? I told her, I want the IV, and quickly, it was planned for this same week. So I went yesterday and it was done. The only side effect I felt was insomnia. It wasn't bad insomnia though. It was like my usual sickness anyway. And I did take a sleeping pill. I will confess, I've got 3 more left and then I won't have any sleeping pills. But I did take one as well, so that helped. I did get 3 hours of sleep. And yeah, I don't feel much except I had a horrible headache for some hours, guys. It was a horrible headache from 3 a.m. Oh man, that was bad. So I'm scared about Monday. I'm scared. I don't want that to repeat. And if I've got more in my body, surely then that means a worse headache. So I'm nervous about Monday's side effects. But it is what it is for my body. I need it. And so I did that. And then I contacted the pulmonologist to say I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble at night sleeping. I can't sleep. And I just wanted to get checked in. I emailed them on Wednesday and they phoned yesterday to say, can I come in today? So I checked in with them that the IV won't be a problem, the cortisone, and they said, no, come in. So the good news is my lungs are stable. I sometimes wish I would just go in and then tell you my lungs are healed. I'm fine. But stable is very good. Stable is wonderful. It's extremely good, given from day number 1 to number 2 I'd gone down. Stable is, I will take that. But My head is inflamed. My sinuses are inflamed, and the back of my throat is inflamed. So that's where the struggle, the trouble is. And that's what's causing me to snore, and that's what's causing my throat to close up. See, ankylosing spondylitis hurts our necks, well, many bones. But when you're trying to sleep, how do you sleep? They say use a narrow, flat pillow. So I did, but then my shoulder got sore. So I used a high pillow that has a neck space, but it's too high for my neck. The pillow has got like an opening, so for my neck and head to go in deeper. And that doesn't work much. It's not comfortable. I wake up in pain and I have to take it away. But when I'm lying flat, my throat closes up and I go, and my respiratory rate goes way too high. So it's because of the, what's it called? Congestion up here. It's going down and closing things up and causing problems. So he's thankful. Those are the two birds with one stone that I was mentioning. We're trying to get rid of the pain that I've got. So what I was given was pain med of some kind and anti-nausea and the cortisone for my AS symptoms. It's temporary, but hey, if it works, it is temporary. And also the doctor, pulmonologist, said it's good because he would have given me oral prednisone. But now that I had the IV, at least it will also help the symptoms. And I need to be very more careful about avoiding house dust. No soft toys, impossible. Just avoid where there's high dust. When I travel if I'm going to go on the aeroplane, use my mask, which I did last time, and spray Iliadin, just the normal OTC spray that we in South Africa use. I don't know what it's called overseas, but it's Iliadin. Spray that before I leave on the aeroplane and keep using my medication. So we've given me a nasal steroid for my sinuses for a week, and then we've upped my allergy meds for my nose, and then we'll take it from there. So that's where we are with that. And here's the blessing. Yesterday morning, I asked God to help me to be his representative to someone. I felt like I hadn't had enough of a chance to talk to someone and talk about him. I felt like I wasn't showing people that I'm a Christian. And I felt bad. I felt sad. I want to, my dream would be to be a full-time missionary somewhere, but yeah. So today I got to the pulmonologist, the nurse and the admin were like, oh, your son, because my son had gone there. He'd been very ill. He had a terrible infection. So he'd gone there before without me because I couldn't. It's terrible, the pain. So I didn't go with him. So yeah, they were like, oh, he looks like you, and oh, your son is so polite, he's such a wonderful man. The nurse who was doing my lung function testing, she loved him. The doctor literally said, I love him. Oh, your son was such a pleasure. Oh, it was just beautiful to hear it from someone not in the family. Many parents, we'd love that. We'd love it, don't we? It's not about winning silly competitions, it's about the characters. That's what we want to hear about. And he loved him. He is grateful for a child like him. He loves, and the nurse mentioned that, I said he helps with his siblings. Is that true? And I said, oh yes, he definitely does help me a lot. And he's really worried about next year when they're gone. He doesn't know how I'll survive. He really has no clue how I'll manage on my own without them. So yes, he does definitely help as much as he can. It's not perfect. It's not as much as he could, but he definitely helps. And he loves all the children. There's no, I prefer the boy, I prefer the girls. He plays with everyone, lifts everyone, big, small. He just cuddles them. He loves those children. He plays with them. He's a lovely big brother. They are blessed. He's a big brother that I wish I would have had when I was a child, or even now. I'd love to have a big brother like him. So that was nice. And then we spoke with the pulmonologist about his children and how one married a non-believer and he's now left the church. So we just had a Christian conversation, and it was lovely. I told him my worries, that I just pray that my children will love God and follow him one day, because I see things. And he said, no, don't stress. Let's pray that the turbulence will come, but that they will come back like Solomon. That if they leave, they will come back to his senses like Solomon did. And as I left, it was actually a long conversation about God. And parenting and our children and the things his children say and do, and we hate the UK. The godlessness there is terrible. And I won't go into the state of the church there, but yes, we talked about godlessness in the UK. It was just a fulfilling conversation, and I could be the Christian that I wanted to be to someone else. And as I left, I told him, he said, God bless me. It was lovely seeing me. I look good, as in I look fine and healthy, and he was glad that I'm still stable. And I just told him, no, God bless you and your children. And he said, thank you so, so much. And God bless you. I treasure every blessing. I need every blessing. My children need every blessing they can get. And that is where I will end this update. My health is blah. My children are the same, but God answers prayer. I prayed to be a Christian, to be able to talk about him to someone, and I had that today. And I was able to tell someone, give someone a blessing, and I loved that. So that is that. Have a lovely weekend. My poor girl can't sleep. My 10-year-old suffering from ADHD, she struggles to sleep. So I heard her at about 5 minutes to midnight, and I went to go check on her, just make sure she's fine. That's how we live. Autism, ADHD, sleep problems, and it's okay. She said she decided to sleep on the sofa bed because her bed has lines that she can feel with her legs. So she decided to go out and sleep in the lounge or in that area by the piano. Yes, Angel. Mommy loves you. This just cracked me up, the end part before the help with an A. If you can't read that last part before the help, she said, please help us find our little girl. She has black hair with piggy tails. She is a doll. Help. Black short hair. It was just that she is a doll. Just so you know, there's not a real child missing. While we took off the dresses Mom had given us, changing into what we felt was right because it matched, our little sister was very purposefully building a tower.